There are unfalsifiable statements like there's an invisible flying spaghetti monster which doesn't appear to you unless you truly believe in it. There's no way to prove this statement wrong, so I guess the burden of proof lies on the person making the claim and not on the others who have to disprove it.
If you've noticed that people around a campfire become a little more numb and calm, like a sort of intense peace takes over them and they settle down.
In analogy, if we did not have the equipment to measure X-rays, we never would have found it and it would be purely theoretical.
I feel like it's better to rely on your own experiences of life more than the random information or theoretical knowledge that you can get off the internet or from other sources,
We have these measuring instruments to eliminate the inherent biases of our senses and to augment it.
What if it's something that can't be proved mathematically? Can you prove that it can't be true at all just because it can't be jotted down? Like, what if there's a section of truth that doesn't have a mathematical basis to it?
Hey Curiosphere, this is Pratham here.
And I'm Suraj.
So on this channel we discuss our thoughts, perspective and have a deep talk on an intriguing topic that has fascinated us. But for this episode we decided to mix it up a bit and do a nomadic conversation where we don't decide on a topic. One of us asks a surprise random question and just see where the conversation takes us. So what I wanted to ask you, Suraj, is a question that's actually based on a quote.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you the quote first and what it made me think and then see what you think of it.
Okay.
So the quote is, "The sea, once it casts its spell, holds you in its net of wonder forever."
Okay.
And it's something that has made me think quite a bit about why we like the sea and the ocean and the waves. And whenever I've gone for a trip with my friends or I'm at the beach, I always try to ask the other person, why do you think we enjoy this so much? So before, I'll spell out some of the answers, but before we get into that, I just wanted to ask you, why do you think we enjoy the beach and the ocean?
Okay. Actually, I think it's perfect timing because recently I've been to beach just 2-3 days back. So it was awesome. For me, at least, it's the serenity. Not just the beach, beach definitely, but any place which has the same thing, whether it be it sand, water, grass, or anything that is uniform and it goes until the horizon, until your eyes can see it. So for me, that's a sign of serenity, and I definitely want to spend time over there. It's like that for me. And that's the part about having something uniform and until the horizon. And especially with beach, with water, I also have this feeling of, okay, it's something deep and like an entire life form is below that. And most of it is unexplored. So I still have that wonder with that beach. Whereas if you have a grassland and you pretty much know it, I mean, it's just earth below that grass. But with
The mystery of
the ocean, yeah, exactly. But with the ocean, I feel like there's some hidden something, like literally a treasure, possibly. Or, yeah, so I have that wonder. So that's what it is for me.
Probably that, because I got a lot of strange answers. One was an affinity towards water, and the other was it's something constant that's happening and never ending, almost like magical. The force of waves coming again. And one friend was I just like it when the waves are coming towards me and hit my legs. And one of the most interesting answers I got was something to do with evolution. And this one friend suggested that maybe it's because we evolved from the aquatic creatures and then life came onto the ground and evolved from then on. Maybe we feel an urge or an inclination or instinct to go back to the water. So I thought that was interesting.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. But I don't know if I completely, buy that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, but I mean, do you feel that that could be a possible
Actually,
reason
initially
to consider?
I didn't really think maybe it was, but I don't know. It seems like maybe it can be, because I feel the imprint of all those, the accumulated impact of all that stuff still in some form or way remains in you. So I don't know, the more I think about it, the more I feel like it could be a tiny contributing factor. But yeah, probably the mystery for me is the most dominant factor, like you said. And that quote that I read out also seems to speak in that same tone.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Actually, I remember once you had told me that we enjoy, I'm not sure if it's enjoy or we tend to have a bias towards it. All the basic elements, basically air, water, fire, and uh, what's the other?
Earth, I think,
Earth.
yeah.
So, especially this image is imprinted on my brain where you told that even air, like if it's go to a windy place and wear a very loose t-shirt and let that wind sort of wash you just like water would wash you when you're under the waterfall. So I have that image in my mind and I couldn't help but agree more when you mentioned that.
Yeah, I actually thought you were like thinking that that's not really true.
I mean, if you say some mystical things about it, like how it's like, I might be skeptical about that, but
But this also doesn't really have like an explanation over here, right? It's I mean, I don't know. For me, it's something that I experienced and heard it, so I could relate the two things. But have you experienced it as well?
the beach part or
No, the other one, the wind thing.
the wind? Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
So that I definitely experienced that, and yeah, of course, the warmth of the fire when you're sitting close by.
Campfire or something, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, have you noticed people just kind of go numb when they're near a campfire? Like, even if like the most excited or bubbly person was around you, in some way they kind of become a little more calm and start gesticulating less, and just be a little more numb and a little more. I don't know. There's like some kind of an inner peace that suddenly becomes alive, and they're a little calmer and quieter and more willing to listen.
I mean, again, like we could argue that in some campfires, at least the ones that I've seen, like people keep running around the campfire, they'll be singing songs, and there's that loudness to it.
Okay.
But I think after some time they might settle down, and I'm not sure if it's just that they're enervated after doing all that, after screaming and all that.
Maybe. But like that's the reason for even how why they light lamps at these occasions or events and stuff.
Hmm.
It's for that very reason that it brings about a certain like a tone or a feeling, and people kind of calm down and become a little more receptive. So that's why they start any occasion with the lighting of the lamp, quote unquote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It sounds very peaceful, and yeah, definitely. Even me, like being the sort of person I am, I wouldn't go running around the campfire and screaming. But
Well, I'm imagining you doing that.
I honestly can't imagine me doing that. But yeah, I mean, like I'm the sort of person who enjoys that serenity that campfire and any of these elements bring. So that's the reason I told that I can definitely connect with what you said about the wind washing you in those places or in that environment.
Yeah. But I'm thinking about the earth now actually, like how would that element kind of like it's interesting.
Maybe we haven't found that, or does tree count as a part of
Probably.
earth?
Or
Like,
actually
yeah,
I was thinking mud bath.
mud bath. Okay.
Like it's an actual thing, right? So
I haven't had a taste of it, but
me neither, but it's supposed to be rejuvenating and like you get like super into I mean I don't know, it feels really good for your skin and body apparently.
okay. But what I thought was taking a trek in the forest or just in the woods.
And that's always like I don't know, it's just invigorating. It's super fun for me at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I'm pretty I don't know, surprised and impressed that you agree with me on this because yeah, usually it's something that this kind of stuff is something that we usually disagree upon.
Yeah, I mean, this at least I have experienced it myself. Like after a long day of work, just go on top of my terrace, wear a loose t-shirt, and yeah, just take it all in. It feels very nice, and I feel like I want to stay there and for a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so could be with those elements, and but with the sea part, I feel it also is another factor is also because of the just the plain beauty part of it. We are drawn to things and we want to keep looking at it or capture it if anything is looks beautiful. And also, yeah, another factor is if something is really big. And that's the reason, like you have all these paintings of Renaissance, right? Like it's in the chapels and it's very huge. they were doing those huge paintings because it has an effect. Like it seems magnanimous, and you have all these structures which is like very tall, and you want to build it in such a way that it's imposing. Like it feels it's firm and it's something assertive.
Yeah,
Yeah, so for the CPAD, I feel it's like that. It feels like it has so much potential, for the lack of a better word. It's so,
Magnitude.
yeah, magnitude, exactly. So I feel that. So I think all these factors definitely influence, at least me.
yeah, makes sense actually. And like when you're talking about paintings, I just thought about like abstract paintings. Okay, what's your opinion on that? Do you feel like there's a lot more there, or it's overhyped, or
I was thinking it's overhyped and I really couldn't get those paintings. And but I recently saw a course which said understanding abstract paintings. So I didn't even know that, like, like
there could be
there's something
something?
to, yeah, there could be something. So maybe there is something and I don't know about it, but I don't know, even if it's there, I feel like 80% sure that I might not like it. But
But
yeah, I'm still keeping that room for error.
but don't you see like there's the same element of mystery over there also, right? Like you don't really know what's there. Same kind of thing to the sea, and I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you spend more time on it, you discover more. Like reading a good book, right? When you read it again,
Hmm.
you start seeing the things that you like wouldn't have seen at the first glance or the first, like the first time you read it, and you start seeing some more stuff. At least that happens to me. I'm not sure if it's like, have you experienced that when you read it again and go back to it, you start noticing some other subtle things that you didn't see before.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you could be right. Maybe given enough time I spent staring at the painting, I might hit upon something. But all
Yeah.
this, the other things, like, you remember that recent incident that happened where someone just taped a banana onto a wall and people were taking photograph of that, and they're like,
Are you
my God,
serious?
yeah, I'm not even kidding. Like someone just to prank them, like they taped a freaking banana on a wall, and it was duct taped, not like a proper, yeah, they hadn't
I'm sure
glued
they
it.
would be trying to make some interpretation over there saying, oh, something is trapped and can't get free, and I don't know, maybe relating it to
E-
some.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no question that I think. Like, people try to. I mean, there is. Okay, I think we can agree that there is certain something in abstract paintings, yet there is a lot of misinterpretation or rather hollow interpretation of things which doesn't really exist and wasn't intended to be interpreted by the artist.
Yeah, see, this is my dilemma. So, when someone, let's say an artist paints a picture, how should it be interpreted? Like, is it that, let's say the artist has some intention, original intention, he painted that picture, and but say I'm seeing some other, a different meaning from it, but that's more deep than the actual intention that the artist had behind painting that painting. So, should I go with that, or did I
Yeah,
misinterpret it? But
no,
because I found a
I feel
deeper
it's
meaning.
fine. That's
Hmm.
fine if it relates to your experience. Like I feel like each person is a unique, collection of memories and emotions and everything. So
Hmm.
if it really connects for you with some string of memories and some string of impressions that you can gather, like
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure you're not the only one, even though you are unique. So it is still a valid interpretation. I feel like that kind of lies at the heart of art, that
Hmm.
it need not be taken in that way.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's
Like
interesting
basically,
actually.
it can be different for everyone.
Yeah, it can be different for everyone. But yeah, some people take the abstract art to some ridiculous proportions too.
Yeah, that's true. Because this also begs the question that even in music, I have this tendency to not to pay attention to lyrics at all, at least in the first or second, third go. If I like the tune a lot, actually, even if I like, especially when I like the tune a lot, I kind of stay away from like seeing the actual lyrics because I associate the tune to a certain feeling that it evoked in me, and that feeling would probably be very different than what the lyrics describe it as.
It's actually funny you mentioned that. Just like a few days back, so I was on a trip, and so this friend of mine who doesn't know Hindi that well
Hmm.
probably can understand a few words and a little bit here and there and get the vibe, but doesn't really know the lyrics. But he sings, okay, and he sings really well. and he knows all the a lot of the mainstream Hindi songs and a lot of fun unplugged versions and all that. And he knows the lyrics, like he sings along and he sings well, but he doesn't know the lyrics at all. But
You mean the meaning?
yeah, exactly. He doesn't know the meaning at all. And I was just thinking, actually, like at least for me, the lyrics is what really matters. Even the music, but like the lyrics equally. Because I don't know, I was just thinking that if this guy really like he's singing it with so much intensity that if he understood the lyrics, I'm sure he would fall in love with the song even more. Because it's something like whatever, it relates to the Indianness in you and it relates to the romantic person in you and like a lot of common aspects. Like usually songs are something that people relate to. So, but it's interesting.
No, I definitely had that experience where I saw the lyrics and like I understood that lyrics basically, and I had a newfound appreciation for that song. But the times when the lyrics didn't match the feeling that it had evoked in me, I actively try to forget those lyrics or not concentrate on it whenever I listen to it or try to sing it myself.
Makes sense. Like it's a new thing. Like I wasn't aware of this, but you're making me think. And it's funny because like recently I've been listening to some songs from other languages and I don't really know what it means until I Google it and translate it and stuff. But it evokes a certain feeling. But yeah, I don't know. I probably don't hold that much weight on my own whatever it's making me think about because I want to know what the artist is trying to say. But it's interesting. I'm thinking whether I should listen to a few songs and just not Google the meaning at all and just like stay with it.
Yeah. No, but see, you yourself mentioned that you don't want to, or okay, you just mentioned that art can be subjective, like it can be different for everyone. So why do you want to try and actively think what the artist is trying to tell?
Yeah, well, with the visual art, it is like a rather gray area still. But with the music and lyrics and someone saying something, it has a very, like, it has a very direct meaning, very
Yeah.
obvious and apparent thing. So I just want to know it and see whether that was the same thing that I got.
Okay.
But again, like I said, it's interesting. You're making me think over there.
Yeah.
But like, I think I don't know. At least like suddenly I thought about when you read books or something, when you read a good story, usually there isn't like when we were kids there would be some kind of a moral of the story or whatever. But if you read like some good fiction book or like a Khalid Hosseini book or like something from Albert Camus or something like that, there isn't like so much meaning that can be defined. And I don't know. They usually just kind of expose the like the helpless condition of the human existence in a way, some aspect of it.
Yeah.
For example, love or friendship or whatever can't be really explained as such, but something that we feel.
Yep.
So, and of course, every reader takes it in his own stride. So I'm just trying to think, like, what is the intended part behind it, and what would I take it as?
Yeah. Again, same thing. Like it's a dilemma for me. Maybe with all these books, they have a like proper message that they want to tell, and but then again, see, even with authors who are writing books, let's say I interpret somehow like I know it's more direct than a visual or an abstract painting. It's more direct and it's pretty obvious probably, but let's say I derive a different meaning from it. Should I leave it as such if it's more meaningful to me than the actual intention?
I think it's fine if you do. Like, I don't see anything wrong with it. If it enriches your experience, why not? So, yeah, I'd say.
Okay.
Well, let's.
But I also want to do true to that art.
I think you can
be
do
it books
both, right? You can do both, and you just hold yours as much as valid as the original intention. But that's what, like, I feel like art always gives rise to more art. Like, you see something inspiring, and it'll motivate you to create something of your own, or interpret it in some other way. Yeah. But what is the meaning of life, Suraj? Let me ask you, at least for you.
Oof, damn. Meaning of life. If we are closing our podcast, this would be our last episode.
Yeah, I think it deserves an episode of its own.
Yeah.
But I just like suddenly felt like asking you that.
Ah, okay. We'll definitely do an episode on this because I feel it's a very deep topic that has to be explored. And probably it's the topic that we should ask ourselves, and the topic that we would live our life for, the meaning or the purpose of life. But in a nutshell, I feel for me, there is no meaning. There are atoms, it's happening, it's obeying some laws, it's going on. Even in our heads. I know that you don't believe that we have that conscience and all that, but I feel even in our head, like we're just not able to understand it, but it's going according to some laws of quantum physics or whatever. So I feel whatever the purpose of life is or the meaning of life is what we make of it, and there's no other meaning beyond that. Like there's no higher meaning that we can achieve or something like that.
Unfortunately, people who have assigned or interpreted their own meaning have caused a lot of damage in the world.
That's true.
But yeah, I agree with you there. Even I, because I feel like in the larger picture, see, when you talk about a meaning of something, it's always in relation to the larger picture or the related or the connected things, right? And for life,
Yeah.
there is no related or connected things. It's like the biggest frame there is. So it doesn't need to have a meaning in relation to other things because there are no other things. Everything is in it. So at least that's how I think of it. So yeah, I agree that I mean there isn't like an inherent meaning of it. It's just you live and you experience. But what made me laugh is when you said like there's just atoms and it's just happening. And I don't know, I just like find it like no offense, but I find it kind of funny or I mean I find it unique in a way or quite bold rather that you place more not you but whatever like a lot of people place a lot of how do you say faith maybe I don't know like belief in theories that you've never experienced you just kind of logically understand rather than your own instincts and experiences. Like for example when we spoke about the wind washing thing, what you experienced it and this thing, but if you hadn't you probably would dismiss it like. But even some of the theories or some things that you learn or study or whatever, it's just that you know it as part of a book and you have that knowledge or you've seen it or read it or something, but you don't know it, like you haven't experienced it at all. Do you get what I mean to say?
Yeah. No, I completely get that. But I feel, see, the reason I believe in those things, I mean, the word belief is, I don't know if it's the right word here.
Agree with it.
Yeah, I agree with it mainly because if someone's like published a research or something like that, they pretty much would have done experiments to find the cons of it or like trying to disprove it basically. So any research that gets published, like there are other teams who try to disprove it, and when like many people can't,
Yeah, that's fine,
you
but like
try
I feel
to.
like the same importance isn't given to your own experiences even if there is no explanation for it. Especially
I
when there's no explanation for it actually.
Yeah, I mean, in those situations, I just feel I'm just stupid to not understand it. Like, there is actually something, but I'm not able to get it, and like I chalk that off as my stupidity.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Some door behind me just opened like randomly and I got scared kind of.
Oh my God.
And I'm home alone, so it's kind of I don't know. Okay, never mind. What do you say?
I can suggest you a Stephen King novel.
No, I'm good, dude. But yeah, where I was just going with that is like this is something I've been moving towards. I just feel like there's like a ton of infinite information, and there's no point like learning a lot of it and trying to learn all of it because you'll never be able to. So it's something I've been moving towards, like my approach to things, and not dismissing, but trying to actively avoid random facts and random bits of information, but trying to experience life more and drawing my own conclusions. Some of them may be wrong, that's fine, but at least it's based on my experiences and whatever I've known, and maybe reading from other people's experiences and deriving more of that than a lot of theoretical stuff. So yeah, I just feel like I want to do more of that and not argue about a whole lot of theoretical things. Like I find like even our conversations, I find it much more fun when we discuss, okay, this is what I kind of imagined or felt or read about and experienced this, and I could relate to it. And I find those examples much more fun than something which is more like I watched this video and this is what they were talking about. Or you get what I mean?
Yeah, I completely get that. But I feel where our experiences come in, like we would be biased because of this confirmation bias, because whatever experiences we have, we try to choose the ones that already aligns with our pre-existing beliefs and try to explain it in that way. And again, like if you're a religious person, you would, just to take the analogy of attacking every problem with a hammer because you see it as a nail. So
Okay.
if you're a religious person, you would try to find explanation of God to every experience that happens.
I get what you mean.
Yeah,
A lot of filters.
exactly. There are a lot of riddles. But when it comes to theory, when it comes to like objective truth, they almost always try to, marginalize as much as they can all these subjective things. So they have measuring instruments which don't have any biases towards our preconceived beliefs or anything like that. And many people can replicate it. It's repeatable. So that's the reason I tend to, lean towards that, because I feel it's more likely that it's that and not the experience that I felt.
But like, okay, at least one more thing that, well, okay, me and maybe hopefully some other people of a similar bent try to do is kind of get rid of all those isms. So no religion, no nothing, no bias, no nationality, no bias of any kind, no gender, nothing, and just try to think like very objectively. Maybe it won't be completely possible, but actually, like you said, okay, fine. That actually makes me think of something. You said something like it can be experienced by, it can be reproduced and experienced by more people. I mean, what about what do you think about like meditation and enlightenment? And it's something that's been experienced by a lot of people, and it can be reproduced, and you can experience it yourself if you're willing to put in the effort and time. But yet it's like, I'm not saying there's no scientific this thing that which is true, there's no scientific notion or principle that lends it any credibility, but my point is they're not even willing to try or go there. Like if you tried something in that category, you would be laughed at and made fun of by the community. Do you get what I mean to say?
Yeah, but I'm trying to think in a way that
With data, you mean, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And
Mathematics.
not just that, not quite that, but I'm not taking in all these other factors, which, like you said, like you probably are made fun of if you try to research in that particular field in meditation, or what happens to you when you meditate and all that. I'm trying to think purely objectively, but where if you study that and if you find it, it's well and good. Like if it helps others, why not?
Yeah, but like I'm just saying, like that openness is not something that you'd find in like 90 something percent of the scientists. And even if some percentage, they wouldn't be willing to admit it for their whatever scientific credibility or something. But I'm glad that you get what I mean to say, right?
Yeah. But wait, I have to take you up on that, because I was listening to a podcast, like a lot of podcasts by this person called Heather Berlin, and she is a neurologist, and I listen to many podcasts which study, brain science, which do neurology and behavioral sciences. And I don't think among those people who actually study brain, they do feel that meditation definitely helps, at least from the people that I've heard, people who are neurologists.
Well, more than meditation, I was actually kind of talking about going towards more of the spiritual aspect of it and
Spiritual.
enlightenment. Yeah, not just the observable health benefits like that come with it.
Okay. Yeah, that I feel like, at least from what I've heard, I don't think it's a huge part of their research.
That's what.
But yeah, I mean, it should be. I feel like they should explore every aspect of it.
But do you feel that the scientific community is a bit sometimes like, because there are these examples of Indian scientists who've been laughed at and made fun of and never been taken seriously, and yet they finally proved something. For example, even Chandrasekhar, right? Or even I think it was Chandrasekhar only, and he came up with the Chandrasekhar limit for white dwarfs, and he wasn't taken seriously. And there have been other instances also where scientists have been cut off by like mid-speech while they're talking about something because of a certain bias. Or I just thought I'll ask you that. What do you think about that?
I felt that was there before, definitely, but I don't feel or I don't think it's there. It's just my opinion. Like, I don't see that based on your nationality or marginalized. But I agree with you on the point that if you try to bring up on some spiritual stuff, you're researching on something spiritual or say something supernatural, you might be looked down upon.
Dismissed.
Yeah, you might be dismissed like that. But I again feel that it's more related to the fact that it's unfalsifiable. So for people who don't know, like you can get statements, say there is a flying pink spaghetti monster, and I say that it's invisible, and only if you believe truly in it, you'll be able to feel it. There is no
No.
way to prove me wrong. So it lies on the responsibility lies on the
Yeah, I get it. I
person
get it.
who.
And I'm familiar with that logic and that argument. But here we're not talking, see, there's a distinction here between believing something and experiencing something. So these things
Mhm.
are not something, like, there's no, like, religion is based on belief. You need more people to believe and it'll become a religion. But we're not talking about that. This is more like individual experiences of unrelated people. This is not the same people. Like, I'm not gathering 100 people and telling them this is what you experience and that's what you have to start claiming from now on, and they go on. It's like different people through time and from different places who are unconnected to each other have had the same experience. And it's reproducible. You can experience it. You don't have to believe it that, oh, yeah, I think this is true. And you know what I mean?
Then I think, see, for people who don't know, there is actually $1 million reward for anyone who can prove anything supernatural or spiritual in a controlled environment. And only one person has tried it, and they weren't successful. But that deal is still on. So I
Damn.
feel that people who have the resources, yeah, let me find that link and I'll post it in the description. So for people who have the resources or who have the knowledge of this particular $1 million thing, see, it's not about just the money. It's about if you can actually prove it, that's awesome.
But that's what I'm trying to say, right? All the proofs that you are talking about are mostly like, how do you put it? Like the physical data-based mathematical kind of proofs. But what if it's something that can't be proven that way? Can you prove that it's not true at all? Like, what if it's something that only you can experience it? Like, only the human consciousness can experience it, and I can't jot it down on pen and paper and show you that.
Yeah, that's definitely a legitimate concern because let's say a star is emitting an X-ray and we don't even know what X-ray is and we don't have instrument to measure it. We will never measure it. So I think that's what you're saying, right? Like if it's something
Kind of.
we don't have the equipment to
I'm just
see through
saying,
the.
where does it say that if you can't mathematically prove it, then it can't be true at all? Do you get what I mean? Can you prove that?
Of all the laws that have been theorized and experimentally verified, they have proved it mathematically because like they feel that mathematics, I mean, it's not that they feel, mathematics is that fundamental.
That's what I'm saying, right?
uh,
Like science will only go after stuff that can be done that way. But what if there is a section of truth that doesn't have a mathematical basis to it? You will be completely missing that out. Or do you feel like there's no such thing possible?
I kind of feel that there is no such thing possible because if I think about this a lot, and like if you want my final answer on this, it's that we definitely do not have the instruments, or we most probably don't have the instruments to see the experience that the other person is feeling. We certainly have this EEG and
But you
fMRI scans.
do. That's what I'm saying, right? Your consciousness can experience it if you put in the time and effort. It's the same as anybody else's.
No. I'm saying the recording instruments. Anything that you can record that experience and like show it to others that okay, there was actually this change in their mind or whatever to probe it. So the reason we have all these instruments is to eliminate the biases of our own senses, so that even though you think your eye is perfect and you see that you're colorblind, like it's a very minute thing, but it makes a difference.
It
So
actually. Mhm.
yeah, so there are these instruments to eliminate those biases and augment our senses. So I feel either we do not yet have the equipments to see such things, like if there are such things, or we have those instruments like fMRI and all that, and there hasn't been any research or resource put into that field.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the latter, but actually, it's interesting that you say that because most of the spiritual stuff that I've come across, in fact, advertises that or propagates that, saying that your senses aren't perfect enough and there are other ways to perceive, but you have to experience it. Like, you don't have to believe
Mm-hmm.
anything, you don't have to, you don't have to like read any book or you don't have to like just get on board. If you
Mm-hmm.
experience it and you don't use your senses, there are other, I don't know, like, I mean, to rephrase a popular personality, there are other dimensions of perceiving, and so that's what I'm saying, right? It is reproducible, but by experience, but it's not recordable.
Okay, for that I would say it's not recordable probably because of our limitations in technology, one. And the other reproducibility part of it, like, see, again, I'm skeptical about this because it's very, very easy to induce such an experience in a controlled environment. It's extremely easy, and people have done that. Like, you can make people, feel that someone's talking or they see a light and
You
all
can fool
those
the
stuff.
brain, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's very easy to fool the brain. You just take a load of LSD or whatever. Again, it's easy to fool.
But
But
I
even
would
apart
agree.
from that,
Yeah, but I would agree with you if it was one person going around trying to do the same thing. But if it's like different people in history who have experienced the same thing, unconnected, unrelated people from across cultures and
Mhm.
across time, then it
Mhm.
must be an inherent experience if you go deep enough or if you go far enough. You get what I mean to say? It's not an intended con.
For that, I feel again the theory of large numbers. I think we had discussed about this
You know
before.
what? Okay,
Tell me.
continue.
No, I feel like if you look like that and consider huge amount of time, we definitely can get those many people who have had such an experience or.
Yeah, and I mean, why does that? Like, I feel that makes my argument stronger than your argument.
Hmm. No, see, my argument, okay, I wasn't going to say this out loud, but my argument was that their brain is malfunctioning. Or
Wow.
I mean, for the lack of better word, like I think that's too overt, but still, I feel their brain is being easily fooled, or that's one side of the story, and I'm completely okay with believing that yes, there is
But fooled by someone else, do you mean to say? Just to clarify that point.
someone or something.
Okay.
Because it's very easy to be under the influence of some drug, like there's ayahuasca, and which is very common in native folks, like
Okay.
the tribal people. Yeah, it's a very common thing. So it's either that, or I'm completely fine with believing that yes, there is actually some supernatural thing, and we haven't put in resources to explore it more closely.
But what if it's not supernatural? It's just natural, and like you said, we haven't put resources to examine it,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
enough people haven't experienced it.
Exactly. So, I mean, I feel whatever we consider as supernatural, I feel it's just that it's the limitation of our understanding. And when we understand it, it's natural basically. And we haven't put in the resources to,
Yeah,
research about
exactly.
that.
Cool. I'm glad we got to that understanding.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I wasn't trying to like
Hmm.
push you. I just wanted to see like how would you logically explain that, or how like if you had an argument there to make me think.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I always try to keep a room for error,
Mm.
even in what I believe. Like, yeah, there could be a possibility like this, and we just haven't explored it. Yes, there
Yeah,
definitely can be.
but like, would you be willing to spend time to explore it yourself, like trying to experience it yourself? Because that's the only way you would be able to experience it. Because
Yeah.
they're openly upfront telling you that we can't record this and show you. If you want to know it, you will have to, submit yourself and experience it, and we can show you
Yeah.
how to do that. But
Hmm. Yeah, why not?
yeah,
I
it'll be
mean, I
fun.
definitely will be, yeah, willing to, unless it takes like 40 years or something to get to that point and
I don't
have to
think
go to
40 years,
Himalayas.
maybe 40 hours or something, but 40 really intense hours, not like
Yeah, yeah.
of you listening to something and just like,
Hmm.
you get what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Yeah, but see, like finally, I want to get back to the point where you mentioned that because there's a lot of information, you're not trying to, assimilate every single information and just going by your experiences, life experiences, right?
Yeah.
Huh. So I want to add my perspective on that, and like you're absolutely right. Like because we have this recording facility called internet, you can record almost anything, and there's a lot of information now. So with this huge influx of information, the way I'm trying to deal with is by not taking in those information. Like initially I felt the need to know everything, and then I got to know obviously you can't know all that. But now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hone my skills of how I think. So no matter what information is given to me, I'm in that position to digest it because of the way I think and not because of what I already know.
Makes sense. I think the onslaught of information is like a thing that it wasn't like a threat before, but I mean, you can see like the younger generations having a lot of problems that the other, like whatever, like before the internet and before all the social media, we didn't have.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. But what I just meant was something like I'm starting to place more confidence in my own experiences, limited as it is, and maybe you can't draw too many conclusions from it, but that's fine. Rather than going by some random stuff on the net that I saw. Because, I don't know, it just turns out to be like a lot of stuff it doesn't have like a very valid basis to it.
Yeah, I mean, at least to some degree, I feel that there is no harm in seeing that or like reading books or articles about that. But again, like if you have the way you think, if it's proper enough, you can easily like dismiss few things or sift through that. It's easy to sift through the information. Basically, I feel that's why I'm trying more to hone the skills of how I think rather than how much information I take.
That's cool. Makes sense.
Yep.
Man, that was quite a conversation. I think we started off with beaches and waves and ended up with enlightenment and sciences and a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think we'll end it here. Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments down below if you're listening on YouTube. If you're listening to us on other platforms like Google or Spotify or Apple, you can always reach out to us on Instagram at Curiosphere. Yeah, have a good one.